South Korea will continue to observe extended social distancing measures for 2 more weeks beginning today as daily cases hover along the 400 mark for nearly a week. The U.S. Department of State stressed the importance of the relationship between South Korea and Japan ahead of Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to both allied countries this week. And security forces in Myanmar reportedly killed at least 38 people on Sunday. An advocacy group says 126 people have been killed since the military coup last month, adding that casualties are drastically increasing. Our top story this morning, South Korea reported 382 new COVID-19 cases on Monday, continuing to fluctuate around the 400 mark for nearly a week. Amid mounting concerns over another massive spread, the government has decided to extend social distancing measures for 2 more weeks beginning today. Our Chang Tae-hyun reports.
Social distancing measures in South Korea have been extended for 2 more weeks, remaining effective until the 28th. In the capital region, restaurants and cafes will continue to open until 10 p.m., and gatherings of 5 or more people are still prohibited. However, starting from Monday, there will be an exception in some cases, allowing up to 8 people. The larger group meetings will be permitted between 2 families prior to a wedding, and in cases where a child under the age of 6 is included in the group. In the meantime, health authorities warned that there could be another massive outbreak in the country. The nationwide R number last week was 1.07, which is higher than 0.94 reported the previous week. If this number is over 1, it means that the virus is spreading. Meanwhile, to speed up the vaccination process, the government will announce its inoculation plan for the second quarter on Monday. People over the age of 65 and those working at facilities for people with disabilities are included. Cabin crews flying on international flights are also on the list to prevent the spread of COVID-19 variants. Chang Tae-hyun, Arirang News.
An internal dispute is escalating in the European Union as some member states complain that COVID-19 vaccines are not being distributed equally. This comes as AstraZeneca announced further supply shortages to the bloc. Now, meanwhile, the company says it found no evidence of increased health risks from its vaccine as fears over the risk of associated blood clots continue to grow. Our Choi Min-jung reports.
Member countries of the European Union have called for an even distribution of COVID-19 vaccines across the bloc, as some member states believe there are heavy disparities in allocations. According to a letter to the European Commission and Council published on Saturday, 6 European countries, including Austria, the Czech Republic, Bulgaria, Slovenia, Latvia, and Croatia, claim that vaccine deliveries are not being implemented equally to individual member states. The leaders of the countries urged the EU to address the matter as soon as possible. In response to the complaints, the Commission promptly defended its method of allocation in a statement on Saturday, insisting that it follows a transparent process. The statement also stressed that it is up to the member states to return to the pro rata basis, as some countries had decided to depart from the bloc's distribution policy for more flexibility. Amid the internal dispute, a shortfall in the delivery of AstraZeneca's vaccines in the region is contributing to the problem. The drug maker on Saturday announced that it will deliver 100 million doses in the first half of 2021, which is around a third of what was initially promised. On top of supply issues, several countries have suspended the rollout of AstraZeneca's vaccine due to fears over blood clots. Italy on Sunday said it decided to stop administering the vaccine in Piedmont after a teacher died a day after receiving the shot. Ireland also temporarily halted the use of the vaccine following reports of patients developing blood clots in Norway. However, AstraZeneca once again debunked the notion on Sunday, saying that its recent safety review did not show any evidence of an increased risk of blood clots. The company expressed regrets over countries that have taken precautionary measures to stop vaccinations. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
No relationship is more important than between South Korea and Japan. That's according to the U.S. State Department just a day ahead of Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to both allied countries this week. In a statement released on Sunday, Washington reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening alliances and to promoting peace, security, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region and around the world. It added that the trilateral relationship is critical to joint security and will be expanded to tackle climate change as well as the denuclearization of North Korea. Secretary of State Lloyd Austin will join on the visit, making it both officials' first tours since taking office, which is being seen as a way of countering China's strength in the region. Now, turning to our economic calendar for this week, the Bank of Korea will release export and import prices for February, and Statistics Korea will set to announce the number of people in employment last month. And over in the U.S., the two-day-long FOMC policy meeting is taking place. Our business correspondent Seo Eun-kyung reports.
On Tuesday, the Bank of Korea will present its monthly export and import prices for February. According to its latest report, South Korea's export and import prices increased from December last year to January. Export prices rose 1.8% and import prices increased 2.8% in January compared to the previous month. An increase in international crude prices mainly contributed to the rise. Dubai crude, Korea's benchmark, rose 10% to around $55 per barrel in the same period. In the U.S., the Federal Open Market Committee will meet from Tuesday to Wednesday local time. Market watchers expect investors' focus to be on whether the central bank will announce its stance on the recent rise in long-term Treasury yield. The 10-year U.S. Treasury yield briefly reached 1.64% last Friday, its highest level in more than a year. It has been increasing since last summer, but the rise has accelerated recently, causing volatility in stock prices. The FOMC hosts 8 regularly scheduled meetings during the year, and its next meeting is on April 27th. On Wednesday, Statistics Korea will release the employment figures for February. In January, the number of people employed in South Korea was at its lowest in more than 20 years when the country faced the Asian financial crisis. The figure was around 25.8 million, down almost 4% from the same month last year. Considering the fact that South Korea is still under a third wave of coronavirus infections, it is widely expected that sluggish hiring data will be reflected in February's report. Seo Eun-kyung, Arirang News.
The price of Bitcoin surpassed another milestone on Sunday, topping 17 million Korean won on South Korean cryptocurrency exchanges for the first time. 70 million won is around $61,500 US. According to the local exchange Upbit, the price of a single Bitcoin reached an all-time high of 71.45 million won. Cryptocurrency transactions on the nation's 4 major exchanges on Sunday also came to almost $14.7 billion, higher than the benchmark Kospi's average daily trading volume. From January 1st to February 25th, trading volume of digital currencies was more than $390 billion, surpassing last year's entire volume. The pandemic has transformed the college experience for young people around the world, including students in South Korea. To switch to remote learning has also hurt businesses that provide students with food and housing. Our Han Sung-woo has this report.
With remote learning now the norm in the age of social distancing, college towns in South Korea are on the brink of going under. Shops and stores in college towns across the nation have gone out of business. The buildings they once occupied now face a long wait for new tenants. Some businesses are just trying to survive.
We used to make about $900 a day. Now we just make $180. This place once had hungry students waiting in line for tables. Now, I'm the one waiting for students to come.
Seo says she's struggling to pay her rent and utility bills. But the hardships extend far beyond restaurants and cafes. Local landlords who had rented out empty rooms to students year after year have also been left without an income.
Before the pandemic, there were never any vacant rooms here in Sinchon. I remember 6-7 groups of students just waiting in line in front of the office looking for rooms. Now, they're not willing to rent, especially sophomores who practically spent 8 months of their one-year contracts at home last year as freshmen.
The situation is even worse in college towns outside the Greater Seoul area, where both the virus and an overall decline in school-age population mean universities are struggling to recruit enough students. 한성우, Arirang News.
An advocacy group says security forces in Myanmar killed at least 38 people on Sunday. The Chinese embassy there is also urging authorities to take measures against violence and to punish the perpetrators. The warning comes after several Chinese-invested factories were looted or burnt. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Another bloody day of protests in Myanmar. The Assistance Association for Political Prisoners said Sunday that at least 38 people were killed in the latest crackdown against anti-coup protesters. The advocacy group says 126 people have been killed since the military coup last month, adding that casualties are drastically increasing. The latest deaths were a result of security forces opening fire on protesters in Yangon, with gunshots heard continuously throughout the day. At least 3 deaths were also reported in other parts of the country, including Mandalay and Bago. According to state television, a police officer also died of a chest wound after a confrontation with protesters. It's the second policeman death since the protests started. Citing the latest clash, the military government has declared martial law over 2 townships in Yangon. On the same day, the Chinese embassy in Myanmar called on authorities to take measures to stop the violence and punish perpetrators after several Chinese-invested factories in Yangon were looted or destroyed. According to the embassy's website, some Chinese employees were also injured. The embassy wants local police to guarantee the safety of the Chinese companies as well as their personnel. It also issued a safety warning to all Chinese companies and nationals in Myanmar. At least 12 Chinese-run factories, most of them producing clothes, were looted or burned. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Marking a decade since the start of the war in Syria, Pope Francis has reiterated his heartfelt appeal for all sides in the war to show goodwill so a silver lining can be opened for the exhausted population. The Pope offered prayers for Syria during his traditional Sunday blessing in St. Peter's Square, noting that it's one of the most serious humanitarian disasters of our time and that it has caused enormous suffering for the entire population, particularly the most vulnerable. He also expressed hope for a decisive and renewed commitment from the international community so that once arms are laid down, the social fabric can be mended to launch reconstruction and economic recovery. Korean-American violinist Richard Yongjae O'Neill has won the Best Classical Instrumental Solo category at the 63rd Grammy Awards. On Sunday local time, O'Neill picked up his first Grammy Award with conductor David Allen Miller of the Albany Symphony Orchestra. The trophy was awarded for the recording of Concerto for Viola and Chamber Orchestra by Christopher Theophanidis. O'Neill expanded his presence in the field by directing a classical music ensemble for 12 years and now plays viola in the renowned Takats Quartet. Meanwhile, South Korean boy band BTS missed out on the Grammy in the Best Pop Duo or Group Performance category. The award went to Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande.
Good morning. We've been enduring high levels of toxic smog for over a week now, with worsened air quality levels in most parts of the country today. In fact, the capital region and Chungcheong-Namdo provinces are under an ultra-fine dust advisories. But even on a dusty day like today, it's crucial to open windows to ventilate. Eating healthy foods such as seaweed and broccoli can also help to fight dust that might build in your body. And of course, don't forget to drink plenty of water as well. Afternoon readings will remain on the mild side, hovering in the mid to upper teens today. Mostly sunny skies will be featured during the day, then rain starts from tonight. It's going to hit Jeju and Jeollado province tonight, gradually spreading to the rest of the country overnight. but it's not going to be enough to wash the dust from the air. In fact, Jeju will receive frequent rainfall this week, while elsewhere we can expect improved air quality by the middle of the week. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that will do it for us at this hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.